is Ed Ray Herbert Goins, and I'm a professor of mathematics at Pomona College. I've been asked to say a few words about my own personal journey through the Professoriate. Let me begin with some humble beginnings as an individual growing up in South Central Los Angeles. I grew up in a very small household. There was just my mother that took care of raising my brother and myself. You'll see here a few photos of when I was much younger. The one at the upper left is actually of my godfather, William Herbert Daly. In fact, he's the reason why I always use the name Herbert whenever I talk about myself. My middle name comes from his middle name. You'll see here on the upper right that I have a brother who's 2 years younger. In fact, I was born in 1972 and he was born in 1974. At the bottom here of the screen, you can see photos of when I was roughly 6 years old and in kindergarten, and then when I was 12 years old in the sixth grade. I was very interested in art when I was growing up. I spent a lot of time drawing my own portraits of different family members and just different objects around the house. I was very interested in this very obscure art form known as pointillism, and I was very interested in playing the piano. In fact, here you can see a photo of a Christmas gathering we had one year where I was playing the piano in the background. Here at the bottom, you can see some pictures of my father on the lower left and of my mother on the lower right. After growing up in South Central Los Angeles, I went on to high school and then went on to college. I went to high school there in South Central LA, and I went to a school that was named George Washington Preparatory High School. Now, this was a public school. It really wasn't a preparatory school, but it was named as such by the principal a few years before I got there in order to try to convince the students that they should work harder and therefore they can do better and succeed in life. But this was a public high school in South Central Los Angeles. I was very interested in academics, and I even was a part of the academic decathlon team for a couple of years. Think of the Quiz Bowl if you've heard of this before. Eventually, myself and a few friends were featured in the San Francisco Examiner during our senior year for some work that we had done, really how well we had done academically on the ACT as well as the SAT. I was fortunate enough to become valedictorian and I graduated at the top of my class in June of 1990. After I graduated from high school, I then went about 18 miles away to Pasadena, where I attended the California Institute of Technology. Here you can see on the upper left, I right away became a member of the National Society of Black Engineers. We formed a NSBE chapter during my freshman year. I was also involved with various activities on campus. There is a famous set of pranks that happens at Caltech known as Ditch Day. Simply put, the seniors set up their rooms and they ask for the underclassmen to try to break into their rooms. The seniors then leave campus for the entire day, and the underclassmen spend a lot of time trying to figure out the various games and the various shenanigans that happen on campus. Here in the lower left, you can see a photo of when I participated in Ditch Day during my senior year. By the time I graduated in 1994, I was very interested in Black history, not just with the civil rights movement in the 20th century of the United States, but also in looking at the Black students that had originally gone through Caltech. I put together a display that was on the Caltech campus during my senior year in 1994, and as a companion to that, I wrote a series of articles that appeared in the California Tech in the student newspaper. I wrote about 10 articles in total that outlined the history of the Black students, both undergraduate and graduate, that had attended the school. After I graduated in 1994, I went to the northern part of California and I went to Stanford University. As an undergraduate, I double majored in math and physics, although I had a very strong interest in history. But in graduate school, I decided I wanted to get a PhD in mathematics. Still, I was very involved with the Black students on campus. You can see in the upper left, I was president of the Black Grad Students Association. Here's a photo of one of the meetings that I presided over. Then I graduated with my doctoral degree in mathematics in 1999. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see a picture of my father, that's at the upper right, and of my mother, that's at the lower right, at my graduation. It turns out that Stanford has what's called Black graduation. This is a ceremony where all of the graduates that year, both undergraduate and graduate students that are either getting their bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degrees, all walk through a certain ceremony. The picture that you see on the lower left of your screen are actually all of the Black doctoral students that graduated in 1999. Yes, this is the complete picture. There are only 5 Black students that got their PhDs from Stanford that year. It was a very humbling experience to know that we were part of an elite group that was finishing from the university. Once I graduated, I then moved on to the Professoriate. Now, there are different ways in which you can be involved in the Professoriate. When I got my PhD, I became a postdoctoral fellow. Simply put, this meant that I traveled around the world conducting research and writing papers. When I graduated in 1999, the first place I went to was Princeton, New Jersey, and I was a member of the School of Mathematics at the Institute for Advanced Study for about a year, year and a half. In the year 2000, I decided to move to Europe, and I took a postdoctoral position at the Max Planck Institute for Mathematics in Bonn, Germany. At the bottom part of your screen, you can see that actually I traveled around Europe quite a bit. Even though I was stationed in Bonn, which was in the former West Germany, a few friends of mine and I went over to Berlin, where we visited and took photos. Here you can see the Berliner Dome that we took photo of in the year 2000. I also traveled around to other parts of Europe by seeing England, London, Amsterdam. Here you can see a photo of me in Paris, France, just beneath the Eiffel Tower. To continue my postdoc years, I then moved back to the United States, where essentially I had a dual position at Caltech in California and Harvard in Massachusetts. On the upper left, you can see one of my favorite photos. This is when I had just arrived at Harvard University and I had just finished giving a talk. One of the most famous mathematicians in my field, John Tate, was there to actually watch me give a talk. And there I was really amazed that not only could he follow my talk, but he was very interested in what I had to say. I was able to visit Harvard several times over that 4 year period. And you can see another photograph from 2003 where I went back and gave another talk. On the bottom part of your screen, you can see photos of when I was at Caltech. Here on the lower left, you can see a photo of my office in February of 2003. And the very next year, I was featured in Black Issues of Higher Education, where I was considered to be one of the uprising stars. In the year 2004, I then moved to Indiana, where I became a professor of mathematics at Purdue University. Purdue is about 2 miles, I should say 2 hours south of Chicago and about 1 hour north of Indianapolis. There, I was involved on campus in many different ways. You can see on the upper right where I was the faculty advisor for the undergraduate math club. On the lower part of your screen, you can see that I had various PhD students that were my own students that graduated. On the lower left, you can see Kevin Lugo is the very first doctoral student that I graduated. Whereas on the lower right, you can see Alex Barrios is the most recent PhD student that had graduated. But I realized that Purdue University wasn't quite for me. Here you can see in this photo that it's a very large campus and we had very large classes. Now, I love to do mathematics and I certainly love to write mathematics on a chalkboard, but I really wanted to be at a much smaller campus. So in 2018, after being at Purdue for 14 years, I then moved back to California, where I am now at Pomona College. Pomona College is just east of downtown Los Angeles. It's approximately 1 hour going east. It is a much, much smaller campus. Purdue has about 40,000 students. Pomona College, on the other hand, has about 1,600 students. Here you can see that it is a very small campus. And in fact, the photos here actually show you what the mathematics department looks like. It's pretty much a brand new building that's only been around for about 5 years in its current renovated state. Also, there's a beautiful courtyard in the back of the building where we oftentimes have poster displays and receptions. When I moved to Pomona College in 2018, I decided that I wanted to be more involved with the Black undergraduates to provide a sense of community for them and also so that I can learn more about what campus was like for myself. Here you can see a photo of a dinner that I hosted when I first got back to campus, when I first arrived to campus in 2019. Also, I am very interested in having opportunities for undergraduates to learn about mathematics research. In particular, I am very interested in underrepresented minorities and their abilities, their opportunities to do mathematics. Here you can see some slides, some photos for a research program that I put together called PRIME, Pomona Research and Mathematics Experience. This is an 8-week program where we bring between 8 and 12 students to campus. They don't just have to be from Pomona, they're from all over the country, where we conduct research in algebra, number theory, representation theory, differential geometry, and algebraic geometry. If you'd like to learn more about Prime and what we're going to do for this coming summer for 2021, then I highly recommend that you take a look at the website at the link that we have here on the screen. Thanks very much.